Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Berean TV. Somebody said, I got a couple of posts that came in my some things came into my inbox, and they said, Berean, you don't know a high-ranking Mason taught me the science of the Bible. People, y'all have to be careful when you hear a lot of this stuff. I'm going to try to explain something. When people are running around here talking about a high-ranking Mason and this and that, don't let that spook you out. A lot of times, all of this stuff that we're hearing and we're seeing on Facebook, it's stuff that's reworked from before. We have the doctrine of Gerald Massey and what Gerald Massey and David Icke was setting forth some theories back in the days that had to do with astrotheology. Manly P. Hall sharing astrotheology. We have some new people in the conscious community that just put a black spin on it, and they're sending this thing out. For this person to tell me a high-ranking Mason spoke to them, and I usually know the mumble-jumble that's going to come next. The 46 Psalms and Shakespeare and the Freemasons, and you don't understand Akhenaten, and Akhenaten was Moses, or he was Moses' son, and all of these things. Joseph Atwell book, you have to understand what happened and who the Flavians were and who invented Christianity. These are conspiracies. I'm going to explain the astrotheology is different because that comes from the ancient Gnostic, that comes from ancient cultic people that were teaching the occult doctrine, the secret doctrine that came down. But there's a lot of confusion out here. Y'all got to remember, the way we look at the story, we understand that the wicked one came with God's chosen people in the garden, and he was the first agent of disinformation, and he took God's word. He said, did God truly say? And he flipped God's word. So it's a lot of people trying to, if you don't like the Bible, leave the Bible alone. But no, people are going to pick it up and do what they want and try to decipher it. I got to decipher it. So I want to explain a lot of these dudes in the conscious community talking about what they deciphering from the Bible in 33rd degree and 32nd. Oh, don't let people spook y'all out with that. When we deal with Freemasonry like those other people, when we deal with Freemasonry and we deal with the occult and the secret sciences, a lot of people don't know where it comes from. That's one thing. Some people say it's just spiritual principles that they're teaching, and it's just like a knife. It's just like a gun. It's neutral. It's just like electricity. It's not good. It's not bad. You can use a knife to kill. You can use electricity to light up your house, or you can use electricity to kill somebody. Same thing with a gun. You can protect yourself. You can and you can kill somebody with a weapon. So a lot of people teach that is what the occult doctrine was. We call the occult doctrine wicked because of something in Deuteronomy 18. He says, don't do as the other people as you go into that land. So that's why church people kind of call the occult doctrine wicked. But I don't want believers to think that everybody that study that stuff is wicked. Occult just means hidden. Because of Deuteronomy, there are believers that call it wicked, but it just means hidden. But I want to explain something about Freemasonry. Freemasonry, they're not sure where it come from. Albert G. Mackey, I think it's McCoy Publishing. Albert G. Mackey has a book, The Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. In it, Mackey teaches that it came from Nimrod and the Tower of Babel in the Bible. And we're going to explain. I'm going to try to take my time and explain why that's kind of problematic. Because at the Tower of Babel, they were attempting to go against the decrees of the Most High God. And this is where the beginning of rebellion comes in with a man named Nimrod and Cush. And this is where we're going to explain the Cushites and stuff in later videos. When these are Ethiopians. These are Ethiopians, black Africans, and they were the first builders. No secular. Everybody agrees with that. Diodorus said that the Egyptians came from Ethiopia. So when we start talking about the land of Cush and you start hearing me use that terminology, you'll know. But many people attribute that to Babylonians and the beginning of the buildings. Other people want to take it to Egypt. It depends what theory that you go with, where it actually belongs. We have a lot of proof that we have Freemasonry coming from the ancient wisdom of Jews. When Jews were dealing with what they call Kabbalah, and there's different theories on that, where that come from. Did Moses come down out the mountain and receive the commandments, and he broke them and were upset because the people were off dancing and acting crazy because he was gone for 40 days? and he went back up and he received it again. Rabbis in rabbinical Judaism, they teach that Moses went a third time into the mountain and received the oral tradition that he handed down to everybody else. And this is what some people would call the birth of Kabbalah. It's Jewish mysticism dealing with the spirit realm, the secret occult science, and Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Most people that you know that y'all would meet are just in the Blue Lodge. But after you become a third degree Mason, which could take no time here in America, after you become a third degree Mason, you can join appendant bodies. You can become part of Scottish Rite Freemasonry. You can become part of York Rite Freemasonry. Now, in Scottish Rite Freemasonry, all the allegory and what they teach is all built on the Israelite secret doctrine of Kabbalah and the building of Solomon's temple, and that's Scottish Rite Freemasonry. And you can go up there from the third, Albert Pike and other Europeans who consider themselves Luciferians and said Lucifer was a good person. They worked the fourth to the 32nd degree in Scottish Rite Freemasonry. That's important. That's a big thing here in the United States of America. And all of their degrees have to deal with Solomon's physical temple and the construction of the temple, but they wove a secret doctrine in with the building of Solomon's temple. That's that. Now you have a Christian order that's known as the York Rite. That's a different rite. That's a different side of a pyramid. That's a different rite, but that's more of a Christian rite, and it's going to deal more with New Testament, but it's all based on allegorical thought and the old ancient wisdom, which we call the occult doctrine. That man is developing his spirit into illumination, into everlasting life, into the Knights Templar. And there's different degrees and stuff that they begin to break down to explain that. And it's all allegorical. That's how they look at it. But it's built off of the physical building of Solomon's temple. Allegorical thought was woven there. That's how come a lot of people think that Solomon's temple never existed. And we have remnants of the temple with Herod later on. But people have the story so confused because it's allegorical thought that's mixed directly with historical thought. And that's kind of where the problem comes in. But it depends where the secret teaching comes from. A lot of Bible scholars want to claim that the scriptures came together when the Israelites were in Babylonian captivity. So now a lot of information is flooding the internet because people never heard in Sunday school there were other creation stories. They never heard that there were other flood stories. They never heard all of this stuff. So now they're hearing it on the internet from pseudo scholars, from other people. And they're like, wow, I never heard this in church. So this gotta be the truth. And they ran with it. But we don't look at the fact that there's different creation stories. We understand that God called Israel as a people out of a group of other people that had a cosmology. They had creation stories. That's no big thing. We don't look at it like that. But when you run into these conspiracy theory teachers, they'll begin to, and brothers that teach an eclectic doctrine, they'll begin to bring a lot of stuff to your mind, bring confusion to your mind. We call those agents of disinformation. Now, to be honest, a lot of people, we're just getting over the Easter holiday. A lot of people been sending me all type of stuff, how Easter's not pagan, y'all are just talking to a brick wall. It doesn't make a difference where Easter come from. Did your Messiah practice that? This is what the whole argument is now with the spirituality and me developing. Do I have to take on European culture as a believer? Do I have to take on Judaic culture or become an Israelite as a believer on Messiah? Now, this is where the problem comes in with a lot of people, but I myself, I know that my Messiah was an Israelite. So if he was an Israelite, he wasn't messing with no Easter egg. He wasn't messing with no Christmas tree. So y'all are going so hard to try to explain why this isn't pagan, to put it down somebody's throat or to force it on somebody as opposed to just throwing the thing away. Y'all don't want to throw it away. You don't have to throw it away. But don't mix it with the spirituality. This is where the occult come in. It's just a mixture of light and darkness together. And we have it all in the church. That's why a lot of people are running around here talking about the science of the 33rd, and my uncle was a pastor and a Mason and all of this madness, because it's a mixture. You have to know how to navigate. To the regular people, not to the pastors, not to the preachers, not to the Hotepians and you Kemetic cat, not to all of y'all, to your regular people. Speak to the Most High God. He's going to speak back to you. I don't know what's going on in this book. I'm going to read this book and I'm seeking guidance from you, Lord. He's going to speak to you. You have to know how he speaks, but he'll speak to you. A lot of times y'all confuse yourself with YouTube and Facebook and all of this other mess. Even people that grew up in church, even people that have positions in church, they're confused about a lot of the occult doctrine. We're going to start up some new classes coming up. Y'all can get down with that. We're going to teach straight. We're going to teach straight theology, what the Bible teaches. Because I notice a lot of questions come in, and my own sister Sandra and a few other people on the team with Sunday Seminary, we're bringing some things together. We noticed that there are certain things that people don't know the basics of certain things. A lot of people, y'all wouldn't send me so many questions if y'all just knew the basics of what the Bible taught. Like just with Nicaea and all this confusion. If you knew the basics and the primary sources and why we believe what we believe, a lot of things will be cleared up. And in those teachings, we're going to explain why we deal with the church fathers, but where some opinions came in with the church fathers and traditions came in, which is separate from what Messiah and them followed as pure Israelites. That's totally different. So we're going to try to work on all of that, and I'm going to explain that and some other things in the other videos. But don't be dismayed by this other stuff. A high-ranking Freemason. Usually when those guys go and they receive the third degree, they can do that in 18 months, maybe 2 years. It depends what part of America you're in when you receive your degree. So you have the third degree. Those guys don't know anything really. Most Masons that I met that said they're 32 degrees and all of that stuff, they're just saying that trying to impress somebody. How many books you got, what you read, I'm gonna test them. I'm gonna try them. And most of the time they don't know what they're talking about. They'll just throw a lot of mumble jumble. Well, you got to know where they'll thinking they're dropping jewels. You got to know where Jesus come from. You got to know where the Bible come from and all of that stuff. You can receive your third degree and get into that appendant thing. You can get into the Scottish Rite Freemasonry, and you can go away for a weekend. You can go away for a weekend and spend a grand or two, and you can work your way up from the 4th all the way up to the 32nd degree and come out of there and still don't know nothing. So don't let them people spook you out talking about the book and who got 33 degrees and 32 degrees. That's mumble jumble. It's 96, it's 100. It's plenty more degrees than that. That has nothing to do with nothing. This is a game of occult doctrine they're trying to force on the people. That's all it is. And y'all are searching for light. Pray and ask the Creator for light. Pray and ask the Creator of Jesus, who is the light of the world. Ask him, what is this? A lot of people saying, oh, forget Jesus, it's the Christ. We'll talk about all of that in class. But don't be shook off of them comments you hear people making, or high-ranking Freemasons. I guarantee y'all 99% of the time when they start talking about high-ranking this, high-ranking that, they don't know what they're talking about. My name's Brother Barine. If you like what you heard, subscribe. Thanks for watching.